and welcome back. Battle of the OG 1X Prism scopes. The primary arms Cyclops versus the Vortex Spitfire. Now, this entire review will be completely, well, it's almost halfway completely irrelevant, and it'll be like totally irrelevant any day now, because this is the older model of the Spitfire. There is an updated version. Now it's not the Gen 2. They didn't call it that. It's still just the Spitfire. But if you look closely, you can still buy these. But most of the ones you're going to find out there are the updated version. The way you can tell the difference, the battery compartment is now down here in the mount. It's like integral into the mount. And it now runs off of a AAA battery instead of a 123 or whatever. Primary Arms has a brand new Gen 2 Cyclops that is either like available for pre-order or gonna be available any day now. And it's quite a bit more compact. It's closer to the size of like a Romeo 5 or a Aimpoint T1. So that's pretty cool. And there are a couple of differences with the mounting options. It's going to be on an ACOG mini mount versus the micro, like the Aimpoint micro footprint that this guy is on. So, which one is better? Well, better is a subjective term. And I thought as soon as I got this Spitfire in hand and looked through it, I was like, oh, that's better. Then I went and shot it, and I'm not so sure. So let's take this over to the table, take these over to the table. I will try to get the best look through them I can with my phone/camera, and I'll try to sort through. I've got my own little whiteboard of truth going on here. We'll take a look at a couple of different points of interest, and you can decide for yourself which one you think is better. All right, so as I mentioned, the Primary Arms Cyclops, the original version, mounts on an Aimpoint micro footprint, which means there are a ton of options out there available. And I am particularly in love with the Reticle mount. As you can see here. And so it absolutely breaks my heart that their new version is going to be on an ACOG mini mount. Now that still gives you a ton of options available, as opposed to the Spitfire. Now both of these come in the box with a high mount, low mount option. And the Primary Arms is just a very basic boxy kind of mount. And here you can see on the original Spitfire, the older model, it has this bar in the middle. That's the higher mounting option. You can remove this and bring the whole thing down lower, like if you were running it on an AK or something. So they do both come with a high-low mount option, but this is a proprietary mount, and the newer, updated version of the Spitfire is also like the newer model has the battery compartment in the mount itself. So that's just it. Like, you don't have mounting options. You just get the one that it comes with. So that is that. So 4 mounting options, great big giant win for the Cyclops, whether it's the old original Cyclops like this one or the new one that's coming out. They both win for mounting options. Now, Reticle. This gets interesting because I thought absolutely 100% for sure, as soon as I looked through the Spitfire, I was like, yep, that is better. Definitely all day long better. And then I actually went out and zeroed this one. And then last weekend I got out and shot it out on some property. And I am not so sure about that anymore. at something like 5 to maybe 15 yards, I think maybe the Spitfire wins, kind of. But at 15 to 50, I think I kind of like the little, it is tiny, but I think I kind of prefer the super tiny little horseshoe chevron primary arms combo. So I'm gonna take a look at both reticle and brightness at the same time. So bear with me, but as of right this minute, I'm gonna give reticle to the Cyclops. Now the newer model of the Spitfire has the same reticle. The new model of the Cyclops that's coming out also has the same reticle, but they have made it a little bit larger, which is a even bigger win for reticle Cyclops. Now, brightness, great big, giant, humongous win for the Vortex. And that is why I thought that I was going to prefer the Spitfire so much more over the Cyclops, is because the daylight brightness is actual daylight brightness. On the Cyclops, it is not. It just is not. So, okay. Are they a true 1X? This is a win for both, because using the diopter, you can adjust. They both have a diopter, and on either one of them, you can adjust it to a proper 1X. There is a caveat in that, though. With the Cyclops, for me to get it a true 1X, the reticle becomes a little fuzzy. With the Spitfire, it's less noticeable. So maybe that's like a slight win, but that's really going to depend on your eyes. If I wore corrective lenses like I'm supposed to, I don't think it would be such an issue. So I'm just going to say that they are both capable of being dialed into 1X. Your mileage may vary depending on your eyeballs. Okay, quality. I'm again going to call this a draw. These have both been like totally subjected to all kinds of ridiculous punishment, and that's all out there on the YouTubes if you want to go search around and find it. But the bottom line is 1X prism scopes, actually prism scopes in general, whether they're 1X, 2X, 3X, 5X, they are known for being very, very, very rugged. And because they have an etched reticle, even if the lighting element goes dead on you or your batteries die, you still have a reticle there. So they are both, I'm just going to, hell, they could be made in the same factory for all I know. They're both made in China. It is entirely possible. Okay, cost. They cost the same. They both run somewhere around $240 to $250, depending on where you find them. So again, neither one is the clear winner. And even though I have a couple of extra X's over here for the Cyclops, I really can't call it, y'all. The difference in the reticle shape, the style, that's going to be really subjective. You may really prefer the Spitfire style. And for brightness, yes, this is a win for the Spitfire. However, I think I kind of shoot both of them better with the reticle turned off in broad daylight, like bright sunlight, which means that that great big advantage I thought that the Spitfire had in daylight brightness, I don't think it's really that big of a win. I actually shoot it better with just a black reticle. So, all right, now let's hop up top and let's look through them. All right, so here we are looking through the Cyclops, and the front of that house across the street is about 90 or 100 yards away. And you can use the little red Subaru there to kind of get an idea of the 1X. You can see that it's at this particular diopter setting, it is not a proper 1X. But this was the diopter setting that allowed my phone to be able to pick up the reticle at all. So struggle bus, y'all. Okay, so that is with the reticle turned up to 11. Here it is turned off. And for me, I see it better with my human eyeball just black. Like, that just works better for me. So we'll put it there on the truck right there. It is tiny, and it looks even smaller on camera than it does to the human eye, but it is small. Like, there is no way, no two bones about it. It is a very, very, very small reticle, and you can't even see the chevron, really. Again, with the naked eye, you do, but it is teeny, teeny, tiny. Now, where that works in its favor is that little bitty tiny chevron allows you to get an incredibly precise shot at from 50 to 100 yards. So that is a win, but it does take, you got to really slow down, catch your breath, and focus on the chevron. So, like I said, I thought straight away I was really going to prefer the Spitfire reticle, but after shooting the Spitfire reticle, I sort of came to appreciate this one. It's very, very clear, and it's not cluttered. So all you have to do is look in the middle of the damn thing and pick up that horseshoe and put the horseshoe over the thing you are trying to shoot, and you will hit it. I ran this in my training class last month and was able to get hits on steel at 50 yards really, really easily, like no big deal. So, you know, it absolutely works. It looks like it would be really hard to find, like, oh, I'm going to lose it and whatever. It's not, because it's right in the middle, and your eye will naturally go to that thing in the center of the circle. That's just the way eyes are made to work. So let's switch over to, and I'm holding the entire upper here, but I do not have the lower connected. So as I mentioned, with the Spitfire, we've got actual daylight brightness on the reticle. And the ability, so there's the reticle in black. Now, the way the camera is picking that up, it makes it look like the red was definitely the way to go. Actually, shooting this out in the country the other day, I found the black to work kind of better on a natural countryside background. So again, eyes are weird and your mileage may vary. But what is very cool about the Spitfire is that it also has a green reticle with actual daylight brightness. So that is pretty cool. And it's hard to explain, but the way the camera is picking this up makes the reticle look smaller than it appears to the naked eye. Same way it did with the Cyclops. On both of these optics, the reticles appear larger to my eye looking through them than they are appearing on the camera. So take that for what it's worth. But yeah, I definitely thought, wow, that's a huge win. A, you have red or green, and B, you've got just a larger reticle. I mean, it is definitely larger. And there's cranked up to 5. And you can see, again, if you use a little red Subaru there, this one, okay, and again, with the way the diopter settings are working, so this one's making the Subaru look a little larger, and the Cyclops made it look a little smaller, so neither one of them are appearing as a true 1X, but that's because of the way I had to dial them in for the camera to pick them up, not necessarily the way they would look to your eyeball. So let's spin this around and take a look inside the garage for sort of an indoor appearance. All right, and so now you can actually see, again, this is cranked up to 11, and you can actually see the reticle. So, if I can try to keep it in focus, it is small. It's definitely small, but you can see the illumination, and then if we kick it off, there it is, off. Versus the Spitfire, and now we're even maybe a little too bright. So let's turn that down kind of midway. See if I can get it to come in focus or not. Or not. There we go. That's at the middle setting of the red. And let's take a look at it off. Oh, we lost it completely. There we go. All right, so I misspoke about the mounting options. The factory mount that the Cyclops comes with is this little guy, which is really low, and you have to buy the risers separate through primary arms. I was confusing it, I think, with the Romeo that comes with the two little boxy guys. So it comes with this guy, which is very similar to the Spitfire mount with the screw, except the Spitfire does give you height options right out of the box. This one you have to order separately. So I still like the mounting options better for the Cyclops Gen 1 or Gen 2. So I will be giving both of these away in future giveaways, so stay tuned for that. And I'll be purchasing either the new Gen 2 Cyclops or the updated Spitfire, and honestly, I don't know which one I'm going to go with. I am completely torn, but I have a little bit of time to decide because I still have to finish paying for the Viper that I got earlier in the month, so I'm going to do that first. No big rush. As you can see, I've got the Spitfire mounted. I really can't call it. Like I said, I thought, like, just glancing it, and you probably are too, you're like, oh, well, that one is way better. Having run the Cyclops through a class, there's something about that little tiny horseshoe guy. It's less cluttered. The multiple rings of the Spitfire are a little distracting, kind of, especially as you stretch out farther. And I know it's like virtually impossible to see through the camera, but that little chevron, I can dial the diopter to where it's less true 1x, but I can really, really see the chevron tip inside of that horseshoe and use that for zeroing and reaching out farther. And then I crank it back to a more true 1x, which makes the chevron like almost disappear. But I've got that CQB horseshoe right there that will ring steel out to 50, no problem. So I think in summation, if you care more about stretching out to 50, like from 50 to 100, I think the Cyclops might be a better route. If you are confident that it's going to be on a short area or that you're really only going to be doing like home defense or something, the Spitfire might be a better option. And that's about the closest I can get you. So anyway, thanks for bearing with me. Until next time, be easy, y'all.